Now, I've got a truly novel fly tying book to review for you today. A lot of you may have heard of Gordon Van Der Spuy. He's a South African fly fisherman and tyer, an actor, and now an author. And here's something I've said many times in the 40 or so fly tying books I've reviewed on this show, is that there are typically three types of fly tying books. You've got your how-to books, with the step-by-step pictures and instructions. Then you've got some books that are mostly about the history. And then you've got some that are just pattern encyclopedias with lots of pictures and the recipes. And there are lots of great books in all three of these categories. I've got plenty of them in my library. But Gordon's book is a bit different. It's called The Feather Mechanic with the subtitle, A Fly Tying Philosophy, and it really is that. It's not a pattern encyclopedia or a history book, and it's not exactly a how-to book, though it does have a bit of how-to in it. Particularly how to tie flies intelligently and effectively to allow form to follow function, which roughly means figure out what you want a fly to do and then design one to do that. And that idea permeates throughout this whole book. But before we do that, let me give you some of the specs. First published in 2020, this is a 2024 version. It's 216 pages, nice high quality, good paper, lots of color pictures throughout it. And after the introduction, Chapter 1 is kind of a primer on fly design. Chapters 2 and 3 are about tools and materials. Now he does have a small section on how to collect roadkill and clean that for prepping, which I kind of appreciated. Now Chapter 4 is titled Mechanics, and this one really is a very thorough how-to on how to tie his damselfly nymph. But it's not just a list of steps. He first talks about the design and the planning process, and then walks us through a lot of the techniques and actually tying it. Then the bulk of the book, it's chapters 5 through 24. These are specific fly patterns, but he talks about, some of the philosophy on why certain materials and techniques are used. And I've tied plenty of these patterns before, but until reading this book, I've never really sat down to think why putting something like CDC under the hackle of a parachute dry fly might be a good idea. Well, Gordon does go into this, and it really gives us something to think about. And these 19 chapters really do have some great patterns in them. Now, they're mostly trout flies with lots of nymphs and dry flies, but it does have a few streamers thrown in. But I can say that none of these patterns are really at all hard to tie. So, who is this book for? Or is it a good book for a beginner? Well, I'm going to say that it could be. He does go into a lot of detail on some of the techniques, but generally I probably wouldn't recommend this as someone's very first fly tying book. Some of the philosophical ideas in here are just a little bit advanced. Now, say you've been tying flies for a little while, you've got all the basics down, you're catching fish with the flies you tie, but you want to take your fly tying to another level, not just looking at a picture in a book and tying it as is, but truly understanding a fly, maybe designing your own flies or taking a pattern out there and tweaking it just a little bit. With the underlying philosophy that functionality is paramount and the form, well, that'll come about from the function you want to achieve. Or if you don't care about tying pretty flies and just want to tie patterns that are going to catch more fish, then this book can certainly help you get there. So, in a nutshell, to a lot of you folks watching this channel, I can, in good faith, recommend this book. Now, it is a bit pricey at $40 here in the US, but I think it's definitely worth it. And I did find two places where you can buy it. You can get it from Sidling Hill or the Rogue Angler. I'll link to both of those in the description here. Okay, before we wrap up here, let's get to the fun stuff. I did tell Gordon that I usually give away the books after I've reviewed them here on the show, but I didn't want to give away my copy. So he sent me this extra one, autographed by him, that I can give away. And how we do that here, just leave a comment. Anywhere in your comment, mention Gordon, Gordon. This video is being published on Sunday. It's April 7th, 2024. Let's say next Wednesday, that's going to be April 10th. I'll go to the random comment picker and pick a winner. So that's it, everybody. I appreciate you watching. Good luck. We'll see you in a couple days.